liberating the galaxy, stomping bugs. Every kid's dream. Good luck out there. I'll see you on the front lines.
I hadn't heard of Arrowhead Studios until their cooperative third-person shooter game blew up in February of 2024. Called Helldivers 2, this was a sequel to a 2015 top-down shooter that I haven't played, but there was certainly enough hype surrounding its sequel that it did land on my radar. Helldivers 2 launched on the 8th of February 2024 for PC and PlayStation 5, and it's fair to say it's changed much in the 6 months since that date. I've played the game off and on since early March, and I feel like I've had enough exposure to the mechanics at play here to deliver an opinion. Arrowhead's game has a simple premise. You are a soldier of Super Earth, a managed democracy of humanity. A war across multiple planets is taking place, with our Helldiver tasked with bravely defending their home against the robotic automatons and the insectoid Terminids. There's some lore in how the Terminids produce a vital fuel that Super Earth needs, but when I was pulled into playing this game, it was really just about embracing that Starship Troopers feeling. And on that front, this game delivers. Even in the basic tutorial, Helldivers 2 shows you an alleged utopia with one hand, and slaps you around comically with the other.
Activate the battlefield injury simulator. I'm hit! Sweet liberty, the blood! Your teeth, soldier. Grab that stim and patch yourself up.
And that, in essence, is its brilliance. You are a Helldiver, a weak, fleshy human who is defrosted from a cryogenic pod and fired out of a spaceship in a tin can towards a battlefield. Awaiting you, there could be hordes of bugs with sharp claws and teeth, or robots with rocket launchers and grenades. Your death is often assured, but being a Helldiver is a great honour, or so we're told. While the Helldivers from a lore perspective are both heroes and utterly expendable, from a player perspective, this creates a real element of mortality and danger. You don't have a recharging shield or health that returns after you avoid damage for a few seconds. Here, if your leg is damaged, you can't move as quick. If your arm is damaged, you have trouble aiming your weapon or throwing a stratagem. You do have healing in the form of battlefield stims, as long as nothing is dismembered and that your enemy is kind enough to give you the time you need to inject yourself. When you die, you don't respawn. Rather, another diver is taken out of cryo and sent to the fight in your place. You as the player control that unlucky soul until their inevitable demise. This process continues until the number of reinforcements for the mission hits 0. After that, you're heading for a fate worse than death: failure. I am usually someone that digs into a game's story, but Helldivers doesn't really have one for me to comment on. It also doesn't have a campaign. It just has missions and operations. Instead, what props Helldivers 2 up in this regard is its ever-evolving war. The enemies on both fronts make pushes and capture planets or assault strongholds. This creates dynamic events where the community is tasked with dispatching to fight off the threat or to reclaim captured territory. It's this system that provides a lot of the reason to fight in Helldivers, and is one of the elements that is done really well. While your contributions alone may be small, you do get that feeling of being part of something larger, when there are thousands of other divers working towards the same objective. These come in the form of major orders, which grant war bond medals if the community achieves the goal. These are usually defend or attack, but from time to time these reflect the evolution of the game, such as capturing specific planets in order to unlock new stratagems. The Galactic map is where all this takes place, and can be seen from the bridge of your personal super destroyer. This ship is also where you purchase new stratagems and equipment. Stratagems are unlocked using requisition slips, the game's basic currency, while equipment like armor, grenades, and primary and secondary weapons are unlocked with warbond medals. There is an additional currency in the form of samples that need to be found and extracted from each mission, and these are shared between all players. All currencies can be earned in the game, and you can earn more for playing missions or on harder difficulties. These difficulties range from 1 to 9, and the higher the number, the harder the mission. As the number goes up, you'll find the tasks more tedious, the enemies stronger or more numerous, and the danger significantly greater. Some missions ask you to clear out enemy spawn locations. Others see you defend priority citizens as they evacuate. Others still ask you to take down specific enemy threats, like giant bugs or powerful robots. Occasionally, these can be related to an event going on, such as a series of major orders earlier this year, where termicide towers that spread a supposedly lethal toxin to the bugs had to be defended. Actually achieving these mission goals is split into 3 components: deployment, the mission itself, and then extraction. But I can't speak about those without mentioning stratagems. Stratagems are your best friend on the battlefield, and one of Helldivers' best features. While your diver drops with a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, and some grenades, that's often insufficient to deal with the enemy threat. Your rifle can't always destroy an automaton factory, for example. Stratagems are callouts to the ship in orbit above your location, and range from asking for a resupply of ammo to be sent, or for them to literally bombard the area with the ship's cannons. For what I'm guessing are budgetary reasons, these need to be manually targeted using glowing balls that your diver throws out. As the player, you simply press the combination of arrow keys listed, and then throw out your Pokeball. A few seconds later, you'll have a new weapon, some ammo, a comrade, or, well, a crater, where the ball was. When you deploy for a mission, you choose up to 4 of these and 1 perk, and most people have their favourites or try and adapt depending on the type of mission. When you land, you usually clear the area near where you deployed, and then quickly call in your weapons. You can carry a primary, a secondary, and a support weapon, and equip a backpack. You're then tasked with performing the objective itself, which may include going to multiple locations on the map and performing certain actions, like activating a terminal or carrying something from one location to another. Once done, you head towards the extraction zone, call in a dropship to pick you up, and then defend yourself from the onslaught until the ship arrives. When I say it from behind a mic, it does sound simple, but believe me when I say that this is often utter chaos. Extractions can get messy. You can get killed by your fellow divers, their grenades or explosions. You can fall to an unexpected enemy assault, or you can heroically fight to the last to allow your comrades to escape. This, what I'm going to call organic chaos, is what Helldivers 2 thrives upon, and is essentially responsible for the game's early success. Most of these stratagems and weapons are designed to be balanced. That's not to say every weapon is equal, but that each has their own specific niche or job. For example, the Stalwart is great against lots of smaller targets. Its value is in its horde clearing potential, while the Recoilless is strong against a single armoured target. No one weapon is designed to be good against everything, and you'll either need your teammates or your other stratagems to cover for the capabilities your loadout is missing. What I can say from my 100 or so hours playing Helldivers is that this game is the most multiplayer fun I've had in roughly a decade. I'm having to go back to Halo Reaches to even come close to this. What I believe makes Helldivers 2 excellent is that it has strong gunplay mechanics that make each weapon feel weighty and different to another weapon when you're handling it. Some of the larger and heavier guns have drag, where you can see the aiming reticle trail behind as though your soldier is straining under the mass of the weapon. Others display quick movement, such as drawing the pistol as you dive through the air. Calling in a stratagem is just as simple as memorizing a combination of buttons to press, and there's no input gating on how quickly you press these. So you can get that sense of pride and skill if you can quickly throw out a reinforcement call, or call in an orbital strike to help your team. Putting these alongside the relative mortality of your diver lets you embrace the chaos and recklessness, as sometimes the best solution is to throw an orbital strike on yourself, or to call a comrade in to slam their pod directly into your enemy. There is no other game that I've played that creates those moments better than Helldivers 2. I also think the game is pretty fair with progression. It uses war bonds, which are essentially a type of battle pass. All players unlock the basic one with the game, and you unlock the extra ones by paying 1,000 super credits, which is a premium currency. This currency is also found during missions, but usually in very small quantities of 10 credits at a time. Once you've acquired the war bond, you purchase cosmetics or gear with war bond medals. These are earned through completing personal orders which refresh every day. Major orders, which are usually once or twice a week, or for finishing regular missions and operations, which can be done on a repeating cycle. Honestly, I really like Helldivers 2. There's good, measured progression, systems that allow you to unlock new stratagems, and upgrades that have value, even if 10% reduced call-in time doesn't sound particularly impressive on paper. It all adds up though, and these systems give Helldivers 2 good bones and a strong gameplay loop. I credit the game a lot for creating some great moments for me and my friends. But, and this is a big but, the game cannot get out of its own way. For all the strong positives that Helldivers has, it is still a very, very buggy and janky game. And its state whenever I log in feels remarkably inconsistent. For starters, there are still features that just don't work. The list of known issues may be shorter now than it was at launch. There are still some pretty big elements, like the friend list, that I don't think have ever worked properly. There are still performance issues, crashing issues, and other technical problems with Helldivers 2 that leave it wobbling at the best of times. I have the hindsight of multiple months, and I can honestly say that since its overwhelming launch, this game has very much embraced a 2 steps forward, 1 step back approach to putting out fires and resolving problems. Most notably during this period, there have been some high-profile controversies involving PlayStation Network accounts and the game's availability in certain countries. Assuming that you can look past those, there have been visual bugs, glitches, problems with damage over time effects, fire damage, sprinting and stim usage, hit detection, and general weapon balancing. Enemy spawn rates and mission difficulties are in flux, and sometimes you could log into a level 6 or 7 mission, and it feels great and fine. And other times there's so many enemies spawning that you literally can't get to the evacuation, even with a team of competent players. That's not to speak of the community itself, which, like any online game, can be helpful and patient 1 minute, and then kick you from the game for no reason just before you extract the next. I do understand that Arrowhead are not a massive studio, and it would be a great understatement to say that they weren't prepared for the game to blow up like it did earlier this year. Therefore, I think it's important to look at things with as level a head as possible. But in the case of Helldivers 2, we are 6 months down the line from this game's release, and 2 things still hold true. This is the most fun I've had gaming in decades. And it's one of the most consistently frustrating games to play, where the excitement of a new stratagem or feature comes coupled with a healthy dose of crossing your fingers that something else doesn't break in the process. I used the word wobbling earlier to describe the game, and that is ultimately my conclusion. Helldivers 2 keeps stumbling and staggering, but it's still on its feet. And if you can handle a few glitches, the occasional crash, and some strange behavior at times, then Super Earth welcomes you with open arms.
Greetings, Helldiver. The Galactic War awaits.